Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Stitchin Post. I'm Nancy and this is Knitting with Nancy, and as you know, we have sent out a video very excited about the Malabrigo Knit Along. So I'm hoping a lot of you are going to join me in doing this. The colors I've chosen are actually a little kit that Malabrigo sent me, so I didn't get to pick my own Aurora colors, which you can, and you can call me, ask for help, whatever on that. And it's from Tuesday through Friday, 1:30 to 3:30, because we close at 4. But what I wanted to go over today is the beginning of this project, and I have a few tips I want to go through. So first off, when you open your pattern, I really want you, and Trisha's going to come up behind me now, to read what it says, because some people have already missed it and they've come off. So these are your abbreviations that you will see later in here. Yarn over, but I'm going to explain and go through that. And S2KP, and that becomes part of your pattern, and I'll show you on the right side. I'm not sure I'll get to that yet because that will be in the next video coming up. I just want to go over this beginning part. So, but it does explain in the glossary up here, S2KP, slip 2 stitches as if to knit. Remove the marker, and I'll explain again. Knit 1, pass those 2 slip stitches over the knit 1 and replace the marker. Part 2, you will do, and again I'm going to show you how to do a yarn over, and it's called a double yarn over. And you will always knit 1 into the double yarn over. And here's the exception because they didn't put it in. In the bottom part, row 8, you have done a double yarn over, but down here you are purling across the row, so you will purl into 1 stitch only of that double yarn over. And that gives you what you see here as these holes, and they are larger than a single yarn over. So let's start with a cast on. It asks you to do, and Trista's going to come up so I can talk to you for a minute. It asks you to do a long tail cast on. And for those of you most who have done long tail cast-ons, if you recall, you have to pull and measure out how much yarn you want, or so many wraps per inch, and it drives you crazy because you cast on 100 and some odd stitches and you're short by 5 stitches on the tail and you have nothing, and you're like, darn it, I have to redo this. So here's a little trick. Of the main color, which on my kit is the rumba, you are going to use the outside and the inner tails together. I'm going to leave roughly a 6 to 7 inch tail. I am going to make a slip knot. This is not a stitch. And I want to repeat that because I'm putting it on my needles to start my long tail cast on, but it isn't a stitch. Now the trick. Depending on how you want to pull your yarn, whether you want it from the outside or the inside, I like to pull my yarn, DK and higher, from the inside. In the very beginning, it gets a little wonky, but as you can see, I'm farther along, it pulls beautifully out from the inside. It's a personal choice. Whatever working yarn you're going to use, whether it be from the inside or the outside, is going to go around your index finger. And the yarn, and I'll explain that I'm going to cut, goes around my thumb. So, for instance, if I want to use my outside as my cut yarn at the end of casting on 135 stitches, it is coming over my thumb. So long tail cast on, and Trish again is going to move up behind me to show I am making a wishbone. I'm coming down. If you've noticed, I've locked it under my other fingers. I come under my thumb, grab my index, down through the hole, let go of my thumb. Once again, down into the V, up through my thumb, grab my index, down through the hole, let go of my thumb. And long tail, and you're just going to keep going. Now, sometimes, because I don't want to count this as a stitch, you want to make sure, don't undo it. You can hold these in your fingers if you want, take that off and slide them back on, whatever's easier. But I want you to keep that little slip knot here. Do not pull the tails and undo it, and I'll explain why in a minute. So you are going to come along and cast on. I know I'm doing it quicker than you might, but you'll get it. But because I'm doing it quicker, I want to show you. Can you see, and Trish, you might have to come close down here. Can you see how this, let me put this underneath, has kind of come, whoops, let's get these up, untwisted. See how loose that twist is now? It's not very tight. And the reason why is the movement of your thumb and pulling it through is actually working against the twist of the yarn. And for what I have found, it doesn't matter which way I hold it, whatever's on my thumb is the one that untwists. So that is why I make this the one I'm gonna cut later. So you can cast on and you never have to measure. So that's my little tip for starting. And now you would cut whichever yarn you don't want. Again, leave a 6 to 7 inch tail and keep going. Now, I am not going to cut this right now, but I am going to now knit. And again, Tricia, sorry, we're going back and forth, but I want to show you a double yarn over and the S2KP. So, to do a double yarn over, knit and knit. And now if it's a double yarn over, bring the yarn through your needles, over, and bring it through once again, over. Now, I kind of pull it a little taut here and kind of couch it with my thumb, or just on the next time through the next stitch I'm knitting, I want to pull it not really tight, but a little taut, because I don't want a huge hole next time. So I don't want to have it be too loose. Once again, I'm just going to knit another stitch, double yarn over, through the needles, up and over to the back, through the needle, up and over to the back, knit the next stitch. Now, I am going to open this up and grab, I'm going to explain why I like these markers. I don't use these, and I'm going to go over what I use. But I want to pretend that I have a marker here for a moment. So now I have to do, it says stop 2 stitches before my marker, So I have one more to knit. Slip 2 stitches as if to knit. Whoops. And I'm sorry, because this is the cast on row, I just split this stitch. I'll fix it in a second. Remove the marker. Knit the next stitch. Pass 2 slip stitches up and over. And I pass them together. Replace marker and continue. I am going to knit back now. One, I would like to show you how to knit into the yarn overs, and then I will also do one more the S2KP. So your markers just slip from one needle to the next. And now when you come to the yarn over, which is a double yarn over here, I am going to knit through the first and pull the second yarn over off. Keep knitting. Again. I'm coming to a yarn over. I knit through the front of that yarn over and pull the other off and continue down. When I turn, I now have that hole there. I want to do one more of the SSK, and I'm also going to do a little quicker. I'm going to knit Continental. Now, most of you knitting will be on a size 7 needle, as the pattern calls for, but I am going to show you mine. Because I knit Continental, I am a very loose knitter, and I'm going to go over that in a second. So I come to 2 stitches before my marker, slip 2 stitches as if to knit, remove my marker, knit the next stitch, and pass 2 slip stitches up and over, and replace my marker and continue along. So I hope that gets you started, and let's look at what that does real quick here, because, and remember I said I was going to show you why I use these markers. I like to put it down here in this little garter section. I put it right at like the second row, so it shows the front of my work. And then I moved it up here. What I like to do is not put it through just a loop. I went through the whole 2 bars of a stitch. I don't want to pull a stitch out, or if I got it caught, I want to pull this together as one. I don't want to suddenly make a mess of my knitting. So the first section here, which is in your main color, you get this point because of that S2KP, makes that. And in here, this is what gives you the spine of the double yarn overs. Next week, I'll go over the slip stitches. If you get ahead, give me a call. Again, I'm here at the Stitchin Post Tuesdays through Fridays, and I'll help. The slip stitches are really, really easy, and I will do another video on that. So before we finish, I wanted to show you this, but I will go over adding a second color, weaving in your ends, and slip stitches on the next video. But I do want to show you some products here that I use. Remember I said I'd show you the markers I like, which are the Cocoa Knits, the little round markers here. And they retail for $9. I believe you get 60 markers. You could get the whole flight of stitch markers, which has all the different sizes in it. Really fun to have. Because I knit on mostly small knits, I like the small ones. If you notice, I am using their stoppers, their stitch stoppers. I love these because I can't knock them off. Really perfect. I'm also using from Cocoa Knits the Maker's Board, which I am absolutely loving with the magnetic. To put everything in, you might need a bag. We have the Walker bag here, which retails at $88. They are handmade out of California, so it's an all USA made product. Probably one of my favorites of theirs. Or you can buy, I believe they're $16, our Stitchin Post bags, which also I use and I happen to love, and it has a gusset on the bottom. So I'm also using the counter from Cocoa Knits to keep track of what row I'm on. What I do like about all of these, it is all magnetic. So if I'm holding a marker, it holds. Plus I just put my row counter up here and it holds as well. So I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.